Hello and welcome to JCommerce. Perhaps let's begin by asking you, what is it that you actually do?
So I run a facilities management company, predominantly commercial contract cleaning, in and around northwest of Manchester.
And when did you start that role?
So I started the role nearly 6 years ago. I was working for a wonderful director who taught me a lot about business by the name of Simon Dresner. I went to run his facilities management company called Merco, and I ran it for about 5.5 years, and then I bought it off him.
That sounds straightforward enough.
Oh yeah, far from it.
Well, I'm really interested about that. So how did you get to the point at which you're at now? Meaning, looking back, was it a particular vision that you had and a progression plan which you followed? How did it work that you
So
ended
it does go back to I went to Jewish grammar, Manchester Masifta. I wasn't very interested in education really. Wasn't such a good boy. Didn't come out with very good A levels. It happens to be that I think I was in my third year of yeshiva, and I had in my mindset that I was going to be an accountant. I sent out about 50 letters to accountancy practices around where I live. I just wanted to get in, do an AAT course. Just wanted to get through the front door, do some work. Um, I think I got two replies out of the 50. I did a mail merge. um, about two replies, both rejections. Didn't know what I was going to do. I ended up getting into a foundation course at Salford University with my disastrous A-level results. And a foundation course back in the day was 2 years, and you come out with some sort of certificate, and you have the option to do a third year if you do well. So it was a business and finance course. I did the 2 years, went on to do the third year, and in my third year, I passed, got 2-1, and then I went to work in an accountancy practice for 3 years. So at the end of my third year university, I got married, and the ACCA course, that in itself is a very difficult course. And to do it whilst being married and having a kid is extremely difficult. And I don't do well with exams. I generally know the content, but when it comes to exams, I black out, sweats, everything you can think of.
I'm the
Um,
same.
and I think I failed a couple. I wasn't enjoying it, and then at county firm, I wasn't so into it. Don't know whether it was the firm or where I was. And the person I worked with is a very good friend of Simon Dresner. I always had the thought process of I could never be a businessman. Don't know why. For years, always thought I was going to be somebody sitting behind a desk crunching numbers. Um, so I got in touch with Simon Dresner. We met in Brackman's on Sunday morning. By Sunday afternoon, he had a contract over to me. My pay went up by 50%. And that was 5.5 years ago. And I haven't looked back. Business has been fantastic experience. I couldn't be thankful to him and to the opportunity that's put me over here running a business now myself on the top. And yeah, it's
So
good.
that's really interesting. What you're showing is that even if a person does have a vision, and having a vision is always a good thing to have, but life is such that you sort of go along, and when opportunities come your way, and you what you seem to have done, from what I understand, is you've sort of assessed what worked for you and gone with that, and you sort of had a niggling feeling that you needed to change course, and when the opportunity
Yeah,
came that you could, you went for it, and it's been great.
correct.
Really,
Correct.
really quite incredible. Do you see, without obviously getting into the confidentiality aspect of the figures, etc., within your business, but do you see your business as a scalable business, or something you're at the beginning of, or do you think you're sort of ticking over nicely?
Um, my business has an endless limit to what I can scale it to. A service business, everyone needs a cleaner. I mean, it's going to be years till that industry gets roboted or AI'd. Um, But no, everyone needs a cleaner. It can go as anything. You know what I mean? There's cleaning business that are huge. But I believe whatever effort you put in will come out at the end. So, but yeah, we're growing. We are growing, constantly growing. And yeah, it's going good.
That's great. So let me ask you more personally, in your role, in your position, what do you do when things in business gets tough?
I truly believe that every business has its stresses. It happens to be, I don't know whether I should admit this or not, but when Simon offered me to buy the business, I said no. And then I had a long chat with somebody about it, and the end result, it was the best thing I ever did. You know, as soon as it dawns on you and falls on this opportunity, you crack. You either crack, yes, 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 get in, or you think, ooh, and you just need to sit down with somebody to tell you that don't throw away the opportunity. Grab it, do whatever you need to do it, and go and do it. When things don't go to plan, just gotta stay level-headed. What I drill into my employees is to always look at the other 90%. You know what I mean? If a cleaner doesn't turn up or a client's upset, just think about all of the other cleaners that are turning up that day that we can rely on, and the other 95% of clients that are happy, extremely happy with our service. Don't dwell and don't get upset. Because at the end of the day, when you're in this world, you're never going to make everybody happy. It's not going to happen. So you're always going to have, if you have 100 clients, you'll have a handful that are unhappy. If you have 200, you still have the handful. 300, you still have the handful. And that's just life and business.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever feel at any point that this was just too hard? You know, you mentioned you wanted to refuse the opportunity originally, but after taking it on, did you ever get at some point just doubt what you've done and go, oh, gosh, this is just too hard?
um, did I ever doubt? No, but there's been stressful times. I mean, times where I've been up a stupid hour, been cleaning back in the day, a couple of times, picking up people at a ridiculous hour and taking them to do a job. Um, have I ever doubted it? When he offered me the business, I was doubting this is going to be my life. I'm going to be running a cleaning business that relies on people, personnel, and it's an industry that sometimes can be difficult to run, can be difficult to gain sales. But then when someone sits you down and tell you that what makes you think that these stresses are going to go away in another business and you're going to gain other stresses running another business, and someone's just giving you the opportunity to buy a business that's ready running, ready going, and all you have to do is just go out and make it bigger and better and make more money, then you just have to hear it from somebody. That's basically the only time where I was like, not sure.
That's really interesting. Um, Moving on to networking. So, how valuable do you see networking, and how do you go about networking? Do you go to physical sort of networking events? Do you maintain a clear, an active online presence? How do you go about that?
So I do believe that an active online presence is key. The ways to go about it, I'm not. To be honest with you, marketing. When someone says marketing to me, my brain just goes like. There's so many different things about marketing, this, that, and it just explodes. It to me, it's just a whole different mind game. Networking, my opinion, networking, I believe, obviously we're on JCommerce for Jewish. I believe we have one big network. And I believe that many, many, many of our businesses in town have thrived from our own network. That's one of the reasons. I know I may not be saying, but BNI, let's say, yeah, I've done it. I've done it for a year. It's work, very, very, very minute, a very, how do I say it? Only a very small amount of businesses can gain vastly from BNI. because we have our own BNI. And if I know it's not, I think BNI concept works, the theory works, but we're doing it anyway. You know what I mean? Give us gain, that's what they're going about, but we're doing it in our own community anyway. But to give us gain in your own group when someone wants, let's say, I don't know, a solicitor, but you're only gonna recommend your Jewish solicitor that sits down the road. You're not gonna recommend some person you've known for 2 months. So in that sense, BNI works, but I don't believe it works for a lot of us in inverted commas, unless you're in certain industries, but very few.
I've noticed you're quite active on LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn something you feel, does it bring you personally to Merco business? And do you feel, even if it does or doesn't, that it's a worthwhile pursuit, or is it a waste of time?
I'm actually just started LinkedIn. It used to be LinkedIn was run. We had when we were a group of companies with Simon, we used to have one person managing them. LinkedIn, I've only just started it. Apparently, it's a long grind, but I do believe that a company should forget about the sales aspect of LinkedIn, but just needs to make sure that they are on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? At the moment, I'm doing my Merco page is doing 1 post a week. Am I going to generate a sale from it? Who knows? But it needs to be there. And I believe that your company just has to be there for whenever, if you're out and about or networking, as you say, someone mentions Merco, then it's on there. Is it going to gain you a sale? I don't know. But
it's the value of presence, the value of
correct,
presence.
correct. And myself, I've started doing a lot more on LinkedIn. A lot of it's, I believe LinkedIn is a personality, and I believe you've got to break down some barriers to get onto LinkedIn. I'll be honest with you, I was scared. My English isn't great, just being straight out. I'm not so, what's the word? I'll talk to anybody, but when it comes, when I go to networking, I'm not one of these shy people. I'm talking. When I get BNI, I'll take on a position and I'll do something. But when it comes to writing English and posting it to the world, don't know. There's been a barrier, but I think I may have broken down that barrier in the past few months, and it's just a matter of certain people telling me just go for it. It's authentic. You know, I mean, you make a spelling mistake, it just shows that you're doing it and not some copywriter. So I have gone for it. So let's see. You know, I mean, if I gain a sale from it, I'll be happy. But I do 1 post a week generally on my own personal LinkedIn. But different industries need different social medias. That's there isn't directly one.
There's no one size fits all. Absolutely. Let's zoom out a minute and talk more broadly. So someone is looking for advice from you, right? I'm coming to you. How do I get a business off the ground? What would be your perspective to share?
A business off the ground.
I have an idea. I want to get something going. What would kind of your advice be?
My advice is, first of all, go for it. I mean, don't be scared. I've got a mate now who was opening up a business, and got 2 actually. You know, I mean, they're opening up, leaving your 9 to 5 job, going to open a limited company. Go for it, smash it. You know, I mean, that sort of thing. Like there's what I do tell people. There are so many people out there with years and years and years and years and years of experience. Tap into it. Don't be shy. Ask them, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I? You know, I mean, the only thing you can't go wrong. You know, I mean, if you have an idea, you can open a business theory and business processes and business ideas can be done across the board. I mean, in my opinion, if you can run a business, you can run any business.
So what focus is needed to drive a business forward? What should a person focusing on? What should their priority be? Well, obviously everyone wants to make money, but in terms of being successful.
Yeah. Being successful, I think being fair. I don't think you ever gain by one of my what I'd like to say about my attributes. I'm very fair and easy with my staff. I don't watch what they do, what they don't do. I just expect the work to be done. You know what I mean? If the work's not being done, there's something wrong. But if you want to go home half an hour early or come in at quarter past 9, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be your local policeman as long as the work's there. Obviously, if you have to be there for 9 o'clock because the phones are ringing, you have to be there 9 o'clock. But you got to be. I've had, you know what I mean? It's sad to say these certain Jewish. I'm gonna be blunt. Jewish companies that expect their workers to work God knows how many hours working on Purim. You know what I mean? I just think it's just like priorities. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And to be honest with you, it's all about looking after your employees, because if your employees aren't there, then you're not there. And that is the key to business. And the only person that taught me that was Simon Dresner. If you look after your employees, your business will run, because without employees, you can't make money.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of, we're still on the idea stage. In terms of someone having an idea, sort of going for it, as you say, taking advice, how should one recognize that they're actually wasting their time and drop it and move on to a new idea? What would be the red light for you? Warning signs.
To be honest with you, I've never experienced such a thing. I've never experienced an idea where it's failed, or I have experienced an idea where you are balanced. For instance, if you've got a business that's just Jewish, full of Jewish Kahila in Borton Park, you basically you're in a business where you are limited to the amount of money you can seriously make. So what I suggested somebody to do is to look at something that they can branch off from what they're doing. The same under the same name, everything just branch off that can be. So this will make you money. This will be your bread and butter, and this we can go, and that can go throughout the world. Regarding a failed when to stop, it's about the money, P&L. You know what I mean? If you look at the P&L and the bottom line isn't saying the correct numbers, then you got to stop. But when it comes to the service industry, I believe there's space for everybody. You know what I mean? If somebody opened up another, since I started Merco, there's been 2 extra cleaning companies within the area. We've got V-Clear and iClean. Both fantastic people, get on very well with Aaron and Shlomi. There's room for everybody. You know what I mean? When it comes to these type of things. So, yeah.
And how often do you review what you're doing? Obviously, you're in an established business, but put yourself in the mind of someone who's sort of, as I say, starting out. It's going to take time for things to work. Obviously, you've got to give yourself time for that. What would be a fair? How often should a person review what they're doing and take stock?
You should be reviewing your P&L on a monthly basis. You have a good bookkeeper that's doing your reconciling in-house or yourself. If you know how to do it, it's important to get it right. And you should be reviewing it on a month-to-month basis. You know what I mean? On the 15th of the month, put an afternoon away reviewing each line, see where you're holding. I don't do it enough. I wish I had more time to review it. But then again, there's people out there that you could pay for, even that will happily give you an hour a month or half an hour a month, sit down with somebody new to business and sit down and go through the P&L and say, listen here, why is this so high? Let's get it down, let's cut it. Or why is this low? Let's push it up.
It's really interesting because a number of times in this conversation you've mentioned taking advice from people outside, and I think that's
I've done loads of it, constantly doing it.
That's going to be my next. I was going to move into the next segue into the next part, which is really about mentorship. And And tell me about it. How important is it to you, this idea of a business mentor, whether it's a one-off or consistent?
I just think that they keep you. There's two aspects. They keep you on the straight and narrow. So if you're paying, let's say, a business coach, which I've had a few of, giving you different ideas and looking at your business from a different perspective, different light, it's extremely advantageous. Obviously, you've got to find the right one that's not necessarily that's going to ask you the right questions, not necessarily wanting everything from you. Because I found that I was in a daily grind, and it was difficult for me to produce information to discuss with the business coach. So you want a business coach who's going to ask you the correct questions, so you can elaborate and make sure that you're doing it the correct way. But when it comes to mentorship, it's if you come up with a problem, with an issue or something you're not feeling about, you got to ask people around. I mean, it's important to get other people's ideas. Some people you think to yourself, what are you thinking? No, that's not the best way to go about it. But it's important to have somebody that's on top of you and also there to give you information that's passed down from years and years of business help.
You say you went through a couple of different ones. Is that because you took your time to find the one that was suitable for you, or people were...
No, it just happened to be just the way the business went. I was obviously working for Simon. He's had one for many years. He doesn't have him anymore, but he did have someone which I tapped into. And then I took on someone else. And then I've had somebody else. So over 5 years, I've had 3 different ones, all very good. One, just at the time, it's just basically the time and place of them, why they changed, really. But yeah, there's loads of people in town that you can speak to, and I've had, including Norman. You know what I mean? If tap into Norman, Norman's got extreme amount of knowledge about business. I've spoken to him before about it, different things. It just they're very willing to help you.
So interesting, because on a personal level, I've sought sort of the free advice from people a few times, and I've never really had a very positive experience. My best has come from paid coaching, but when I've tried to get sort of advice, sit down, talk through something, I've always struggled to find the right people. But look, everyone's going to have their own experience.
Yeah.
It's really positive to hear that there are people coming. Let me ask you about business in terms of partnerships, in terms of bringing in outside investors. What's the perspective on that?
My brother has a fantastic partnership. They work extremely well with each other. It was an option when I was buying the business. But someone once told me, if you can't do it yourself, don't do it. And I thought about it, and you know what, he was right. He's like, gave me an example. If you buy a buy-to-let with a mate, yeah, and the mate finds himself in difficulties and he wants to sell, but you don't want to sell, just don't do it. Don't do it if you can't do it. Yeah, there's money, millions and millions of pounds to be made in what they call it when they join together to buy big investments, but that was always my what's the word? My theory that I kept to, still kept to, I'm still keeping to. So until I think there's other ways of getting investments without getting another mind or another person, in inverted commas, in your way, really. When, in my opinion, you can get the same advice for free.
Right. And also in terms of financial investment, I mean, if need be, you can always take a loan or get hold of money.
Correct.
Into the...
There's also, and I know we're talking about JCommerce, but there's many people in town that are willing to help financially if you come up with the right idea. Come over properly with a proper business plan and what you're going to do. There's enough people in town that can help. And willing to help, would love to help.
That's awesome. Okay, so moving into the final segment, We understand that, a serious growing business takes up a lot of time, a lot of your life. So
Mm.
how do you handle it? How do you handle the work-life balance?
It's not, in my opinion, it's not a work-life balance. It's a work-life balancing. It's a constant battle. Um, yes, it's very difficult. I generally try my so I'll tell you, I will go through everybody. Myself, I try and be home for supper time, bedtime. In the morning, sometimes I'll be there, take one of them to school. I'll try and be home, and then I'll sit at the computer and do 2, 3 hours work. Um, my other employees, I'm as I say, I'm not that strict. If you've got to go to a school meeting, go. If you've got an appointment, go. If you've got this sort of thing. When they go on holiday, they're not allowed to take with their work phone. Not allowed to take with the work phone. It's not a holiday. Um, that's one of the things that Simon taught me as well. Just go away, switch off. We'll take your phone. We'll man your phone for you. That sort of thing. Don't go on your emails. Um, there are times where you just have to put a shift in. You have to put a shift in, but generally, when it comes to family comes first. There's no questions about it. And there are times when, yes, I find that also that if you're working properly, if you're running properly for 6 months of the year, let's say, and you have 1 month where you're struggling with family issues and you're not the best on your emails and you're not this and that, people will understand. Do you know what I mean? If I'm not always there and I'm not always answering the phone for, let's say, a couple of weeks, but if I'm only doing it for 2 weeks out of 52, then people understand. But if you're doing it all 52, then there's something wrong. So it's a constant battle, especially being a director now, and I've had a lot of work on. And the wife understands. She's supportive, and I'm always making sure that my staff. It's one of my first. I have a one-to-one with my area managers out of the office without our phones in the communal areas, and I ask them, "How's the family? How are you doing? How are you feeling?" All of these type of things. It's important to tap in. It only takes 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Just tell me something new, or, I mean, that sort of thing. Are you overworked? Are you this? Are you that? Just open up. I mean, no fringes. So that's one of the things that I do.
Massive. Second to last question. What would you do different if you started all over again?
Ooh, what would I do different? I
Maybe
don't
it can
know.
be, it can be nothing.
I don't have any regrets. My years in accountancy taught me that I'm not a person that's going to sit behind a computer. It also taught me a lot about business, limited companies, how not to run, how not to run a business. Um, it taught me a lot. Um, would I have done anything differently? I don't know. Just trying to think. What should I? I think the right opportunity came with Simon at the right time. And I've just grown and basically grown the business. So no, I don't think I've got any regrets or anything that I'll change.
That's fair. Fair. Final question.
Go on.
What's the single piece of advice that you would give to others?
Single piece of advice. Um, Without employees, you can't make proper money. Look after your employees, because without them, you're going to make nothing.
Okay.
I'm very fond of that. I employ a lot of people, and we give out birthday presents to everybody, Christmas presents to everybody, loyalty bonuses, monthly awards. Yeah, it's coming out of the bottom line, but without them, I get takeaways in the office. Money is not the answer. Money, in my opinion, is a short-term motivator. It goes in one ear, and a month later it's out the other. But the little presents during the year and the time where you tell them, I'll do it for you, go home, or those type of things, or let's go and get a sandwich, or it's just these small things. I was out the other day with one of my area managers, just going to pick up a van, whatever, just something's in the area. I was like, let's go and get a sandwich. I bought him a sandwich. What did it cost me? £2. But I mean, these type of things. So yeah, employees are your bread and butter. Look after them. It's a lot more expensive to replace them than look after them.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
No problem.